because I can trim the start, so that's fine. And then I need to load up your stream so I can see the chat as well. Yeah, you're not live currently, so I've got to wait for you to get live. Yeah, I think this is the way to do it. You've got the bigger following. My stream isn't really... My streaming, anyway, hasn't been video games, and even my YouTube isn't video games, so I think this makes sense. And hopefully the recording comes out well this time. But if it doesn't this time, we've got Twitch as a backup, because you can pull the VOD off that, can't you? I don't know how, but I know you can.
Yeah.
So
You might be right.
I think this is our play. I think we're going to fall under just chatting unless there's a podcast.
Talk shows and podcasts or just chatting?
Talk shows and podcasts. It's a podcast.
Sounds good.
And I have not looked up at the news. I've been so busy lately, I've not looked at anything. But the team standings and the driver standings are something we can look at. With 2 races to go. 3 races to go, I should say.
Well, the Formation Lab podcast with Lucy and Matt, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sounds good then. Okay.
That awkward pause while you go live.
Yeah. I actually make some money off Twitch, which is lovely.
Yeah, this.
Like 10p a stream.
Yeah, well, this will help in the short term, I think.
Yeah. Are we live? Is this live?
Is this the awkward "Are we live" section while being live?
We just have. I'm live, but it's just a video of me. All we can see is me, just me. This is now the Lucy podcast. No, right. No, I think this is on the screen.
I'm just trying to see if we're live.
I just realised it's not going to want to take this one, is it? Or is it? Doing.
Struggling.
Oh, I don't even know what I'm showing.
I do. You're showing Twitch.
I'm showing Twitch. I'm trying to see what I'm showing. Okay. If I show this, what is that?
That's your server and everything with it.
See us?
Yeah, I can see us. We might be working.
Can you hear us?
If I unmute, let's.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, there we go.
Both of us?
That looks good.
You can hear you?
Yes, that looks good. Although you've got your little shapes overlay over the top.
Oh.
Just hide that.
Sorry, overlay. Go away.
This is a great start.
Nobody thought.
As professional as ever.
Preview, guys. Little sneak peek at the video coming up.
We are as professional as ever.
Exactly. But we got it done.
Yeah, there we are. So, welcome everybody.
Don't come to a last lap Lucy stream for professionalism. You really don't.
No. Right. So,
Wait, I need to plug this. I got a message from my friend.
I'll do an introduction when Lucy's done all the admin.
I've done it.
Done it. Right. So, welcome everybody to the Formation Lap podcast. We have decided to pivot and stream on Twitch. YouTube was having some issues and Twitch feels a little more reliable. So we're going to go...
It's like a funny comedy sketch. It's like,
It has
hello
been.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Today we are doing it like this. If
Yeah.
this didn't work.
Yeah, and then next week we'll have a different problem and
Yeah.
we'll do it somewhere else. But yeah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop sharing the Formula One highlights as well. There's been a few issues recently about Formula One making claims against people who are sharing it. So we're going to go through the highlights videos on the official Formula One channel, but off screen. But we're going to call out the timestamps so that if you want to load up the stream, the video on YouTube, and follow along with where we're talking about and looking at what we're looking at, then that's the way to do it.
I like this. I like this format so far.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think
What
this.
I can do, I mean, first of all, sorry to everyone who can see the activate windows thing going on down there. I'm sorry. Lucy caught not activating windows. I'm sorry, guys. But it's fine. We can fix that. What I'm gonna do, I was thinking it's fine. I'll make a little graphic to cover it. Then I thought I could put a graphic over the whole screen.
It's fine. What you need to do is sub so that Lucy can afford a Windows license. It's a smart way of doing it. Yeah. So shall we actually talk about Formula One? Because we've had another sprint weekend, and the most interesting bit to start talking about after this weekend is the Drivers' Championship, because that's getting interesting. So, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We had a sprint to watch first. So I'm just going to play back the start for myself because it's been a while. This was Saturday afternoon, wasn't it? Or Saturday morning? I can't remember what it was our time. Something like that. Early afternoon, I think it was.
Yeah.
But in terms of World Championship points, this was kind of an ideal start for Norris. Off the line well, into the lead on turn one, and that was kind of all we saw of him all race. He kind of led from the front, and that was it, basically. There was not really much else interesting from the start, if I recall. And I think this is the problem with some of these sprints, is you kind of have a bit of excitement off the start with mixed strategies on softs and mediums, and then nothing else really happens on these sprints. Yeah. And this is a problem with these cars, and we've said this before on other episodes, is there's not enough overlap. There's not enough that you can just gain on cars and just pass them. So, yeah, there's not much to talk about in the sprints. Although I am watching, I think that was Ollie Behrman get spun around by Lawson. So that happened.
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah, it was Behrman.
I do remember that. It was definitely Behrman.
Let me just run that back and grab the timestamp for anybody who wants to see it.
You can catch his younger brother Thomas in my upcoming YouTube video.
Just plug yourself. So we're looking at the sprint highlights, and we're at 38 seconds is where the replay starts. So Lawson tries to go around the inside. Yeah, see, Behrman gave him plenty of room. So if you go back to... where are we? 45 seconds. Lawson... Behrman is in front. You can see he's in front. Lawson's front wing just sort of appears out of nowhere. And you can see at this frame, 45 seconds, that Behrman has given Lawson enough room. And I think
I'm
if...
biased in this one. You know I am.
Yeah.
But for two reasons. So obviously I like Behrman, we've discussed this many times. But also I feel like on a Formula One grid you've got to pick one driver to root against. Just one. And I just somehow picked Lawson. I don't know why, it's nothing the guy did. He's innocent, Your Honour. I just had to pick someone that I don't really have any attachment to. And unfortunately that person ended up being Lawson.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just...
Oh dear.
I'm just...
Daniel Ricciardo before Lewis Wilson.
Yeah, because I'm just scrolling back through on the video, and the actual contact came on the exit of the corner. It wasn't...
Fernando Alonso before Liam Lawson.
Yeah, see, as a British person who came into watching Formula One around 2007, yeah, I don't like Alonso. But he brought that on himself, so... yeah, I'm just watching... Yeah, so I've cut over to 56 seconds, and you can see the contact is made on the outside of the corner before either of them were near the exit of the track, and it just feels like Lawson went in a little too hot and just clipped Behrman. I don't see how that could be Behrman's fault. I don't know whether anybody got a penalty for that. Now I think about it. So, yeah, that's just. No, I don't remember either. It might come up on the highlights, so I'm just going to play it back through.
A long time ago. It was months ago, this race.
Yeah, we've both been a little busy, so we're a little behind of schedule of where we normally are. So I'm just playing through while we're chatting here. We're on to lap 6, and there's not really much. Oh yeah. So it's been so long that I completely forgot about this. So you get to, let's see, lap 6, and Piastri just sort of falls off the track. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So the shot, it's the funny thing of the camera pan follows them from behind down through turn 1 and 2, cuts.
Kind of watching the leader, right?
Yeah, and we cut to Norris and I think it was Antonelli 1 and 2 down the straight, and Piastri just appears sideways in the background into the barrier, just backwards.
I'm sorry. Everyone watching the feed saw that happen because it was so out of the ordinary to where you expect the cars in the background to be going.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this flash of the tyre just goes whizzing over the back. And everyone's like,
And then,
what was that?
but then you start to think, okay, what the hell is going on? Because we're at 1 minute and 39 seconds here, and both Hulkenberg and it was Colapinto have fallen off as well. And he's like, has somebody dropped some oil down there or something? Very, very reminiscent of, what year was it? I think it might have been like 2003 or something like that, where like 5 or 6 cars fell off on this corner as well.
You know what it reminds me of? The quote-unquote drag strip in Germany 2019 at Hockenheim.
Yes.
You remember there was that one little
Yes.
patch when it rained? It absolutely chucked it down. There was that one little patch.
And it was like an ice rink.
Made it, like,
Yeah.
literally the second their wheel touched like a millimetre of that.
They were dragged into it. Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was.
Saw several go off. It
I was.
reminds me of that, just all of one.
Yeah, I was watching.
It reminds me of the British touring cars race earlier this year. What
Yeah.
was that one?
I didn't actually. I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, it was
But-
a banger.
Yeah, I started playing Forza Motorsport again, and I was driving around Hockenheim, and I talked about that exact incident because the drag strip's there on the track. So
That's amazing. There's, I know Formula One don't let us play trips. British touring cars let us play trips.
we could ask them. We could ask them.
I mean,
Well,
ask them, be like,
yeah.
British touring cars, please. I'll show you
Actually,
the
it's
performance, though.
it's ITV.
Banger.
It's ITV. Anyway, sidetrack.
That
We
might
we
be great.
yeah we get sidetracked here a lot. If you-
Let me say what happened in British touring cars. It was great. Basically, it started raining like mid-lap on one half of the track. So all the cars are like, they're just racing, and then they hit this one corner, and I kid you not, like half the field just goes off, and all of a sudden it's like an off-road race. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was literally half the grid. You could just see them all coming from different angles. It was mad.
Okay,
It reminds
so
me of that. That's what it reminds me of.
so I'm just skipping to. So Piastri's on board here at 1 minute and 49. And if we just play it on, he just touches the curb where it's still wet. So it's a half. They're all out on slicks. It's half. It looks still. It's dry, but it's damp in places. And as we all know, the curbs hold water. So all he's done is run a couple of tyres over the curb and spat him off. He's a passenger at that point. So I think that's his own doing. It's just an independent mistake.
Yeah, so that's the thing we were saying about that, the drag strip in Hungary, Germany, sorry. It's millimetres. That's, if you take a slightly tighter line around that corner, just a little bit too tight than what your rivals are doing, that's the difference between hitting the wet and staying on the dry.
Yeah. So.
That was it. His tiniest mistake has ruined his sprint.
So 1 minute and 10 shows Hulkenberg's replay. Wow, he was a lot on the curb. Yeah, he had a full tyre.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, full tyre over the curb. And then Colapinto straight after, he did exactly the same thing. All three of them did the same thing. They just ran straight over the curbs. So then at this point they throw a red flag because obviously you've now got 3 cars on track to clear up. And I think that was the sensible thing to do. I do want to give a shout out to the Sauber mechanics, and this won't be the only time that I do this, because Hulkenberg had all 4 corners still on his car. I think he went in nose first. He dragged it back to the pits. The mechanics then changed the front and the rear wing in 8 minutes in the pit lane, which is insane. Yeah, that's yeah. And then he rejoined the race. I don't think he scored any points because he was at the back.
They'd be mechanics of the weekend just for that.
Yeah.
But we all know there's more.
Oh yeah, there's more to this. For those
There's more.
for those that haven't seen the race yet, we'll get to it. So let's skip to the restart at exactly 3 minutes. And I think they did a rolling start, and I think, and a lot of people disagreed with this because they're on dry tyres and all the rest of it. But I think because it's still damp in a lot of places, I think this made sense.
The thing is, I feel like there shouldn't really be much discussion. If they decided something is necessary for safety reasons, there shouldn't really be a debate on it. Especially not from people who are like not at the track or not out there, you know?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, us viewing from home don't get the full picture. We can't see what the rest of the track's like. We can't
Even
to.
Because I was watching on Sky Sports and Crofty, and even Crofty was saying like, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, the first standing start went fine," and it's kind of like, well, that's great, but
We all,
your ultimate commentary box, you can't see what it's like down there.
yeah, and we also.
Now you've told all these viewers to question the safety, like with the
Yeah, and
the
the other thing is, we all know safety cars breed safety cars. It always happens every single time. So this is probably just the safest approach at the end of the day. So, yeah, it is what it is. It happened. We can't change it anyway. So, yeah. Let me roll it on. I think Norris handled this restart really well. He managed to stay in the lead, and then Russell attacked Antonelli for 2nd place. I think Verstappen got past Alonso at the restart here. I can't remember where he was.
A message from someone saying they can't hear me. Can you just double check that on my Twitch screen?
Yeah, let me just unmute you. Go on, you need to speak, sir.
Hello.
No, I can't hear you. I can hear me. Don't worry, everybody. I'm recording, so hopefully this goes onto YouTube fine. Although now I've said that, and you need to speak so I can see if you're being picked up on my end.
Hello.
Yeah, I think you're being picked up on my end, so I think that's okay.
Alright, I think I know how to fix it.
Please hold. We have technical difficulties. Now it's
Hold.
just your face. I've been removed. I've been removed. I can still hear me.
Oh, this is so
Still
bad.
hear me.
Oh. This is a real problem.
Look, this is why you do backup recordings.
This is why you do backup recording.
So, for those on YouTube, they're just. I'm probably, to be fair, I may as well edit this out of the middle because technical difficulties. But for those on Twitch, you've just missed half of the conversation. Yeah, YouTube exclusive for the first half of the sprint. We should have.
It's your job to entertain because they can still hear you.
That's not necessarily a good idea. Just sharing your OBS settings there.
I don't mind that.
We can all see what's going on. I would leave the stream unmuted, but I can hear myself, and that's really distracting. So yeah, we've got some people watching anyway.
Hello, people watching.
Lucy says hello, people watching, because they can't hear you. Does anyone have a driver of the sprint? Seems we're talking about the sprint. So now I think about it, they don't do a driver of the day for the sprint, do they? So we should make our own.
Okay, I'm trying to speak now. Would you mind double checking that on the screen?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me? You can hear me? Am I loud? Am I quiet?
You seem a little quieter than me. You seem a little quieter than me.
Oops, another sneak peek at you know what? There we go.
Hello, I am Rowan Camel Pilling.
That's
and I'm
very
driving
loud.
in The Weir Tools British F4 Championship.
So you're maybe a bit, we're both maybe a bit quiet. I'm on full volume, apparently.
Yeah, you are quite quiet.
I'm quiet? How?
You are on
Do I
the
need to just,
stream.
like, eat the mic? Do I need to just, like, eat the mic? Do I need to eat the mic to do that?
That's pretty good on stream. That's pretty loud for me personally.
It's the gain, right?
Yeah, that's up.
Hang on, in terms of gain. Look at this. I feel like a real tech. Look at this. I feel like a real. How is that?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Better?
Okay. So everybody can hear both of us now. If there's anybody in chat, please let us know if you can hear both of us. Make sure that's going out.
Oh, guys. It's a real mess here.
We'll get it right one day. And that'll probably be next year.
Hello, everyone, next week. This time we're streaming where you can hear both of us.
At least they're getting something this time after last time's disaster. Okay, so restart. Let's continue on now that those technical difficulties are over. Yeah, so good restart from Norris. Good restart from Antonelli because I believe he stayed ahead of Russell. Oh, well, I was trying to find out when Norris Verstappen started.
I had a little bit of a. I think Antonelli maybe was off the top of my head. Tried to go for Norris, but then Russell was kind of coming from behind. So like.
Yeah, I think that helped. I think that helped Norris a lot. Verstappen. Yeah. No, Verstappen was ahead of Alonso, so that was never an issue. I think Verstappen just ran a little deep, so Norris had Alonso had a run on him. Just play it on from here. Yeah, Russell had another look at Antonelli at the end of the straight, but it wasn't on. Alonso got fully alongside Verstappen, but again, didn't happen, and yeah, that's kind of it. Let's just skip through. So don't recall much else happening until the end. Ocon and Lawson. So the other Haas with Lawson. Does he go around the outside? Yeah, he made that one stick though. So he went around the outside of Lawson. No problem. There's not much else going on. Antonelli made a good run at Norris towards the end. So if I remember correctly, they were on the same medium tyres. So, but as we saw in the race, having faster tyres doesn't necessarily mean that you are faster and it's going to be an easy pass. So let's talk about Bortoleto. Yeah. So I think this was the final lap, or the lap before the penultimate lap. And if you're watching the,
apparently on the picture, but I didn't see it.
They were looking back from Hadjar. I think that was when it came up. So we're at 5 minutes 36 on the video. So I'm just going to play it on. So this picks them up just as they enter the straight that's not a straight. And yeah, I think this was Bortoleto's doing, if I'm being honest. That was a massive crash. It didn't look that bad to start with, but when you watch it from the outside, it's that second hit. So apparently, the first hit into the wall was 34 Gs, and then the second hit into the tyres was 57 Gs. For context, Verstappen's crash at Silverstone in 2021 was 51 Gs.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, and the fact that he was then moments later sprinting down the pit lane, because obviously they've got qualifying after this, is yeah, it shows you how strong these cars are. The fact that it just disintegrated like confetti shows all of the crash structures and everything breaking off and falling apart in the way that they should do to protect the driver, and clearly that works. Because if you go back,
Very glad. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say there's another crash here, and I can't remember what year it was. I think it might have been early 2000s, where somebody had a crash further back on this straight, and it's the one. It's the, and you'll have seen this picture. It's where their legs are sticking out of the end of the clamshell, the structure.
I thought that was Canada.
Might have been.
Robert Kubica.
No, that wasn't Kubica. That was a massive crash, and it was at Canada, but that's. Maybe it happened more than once. I'm not sure.
You carry on, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think this was all Bortoletto's doing. I think it was.
This one.
That's not the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, but you're right. It does stick out. So, anyway, I think what happened here is Bortoletto went for the move too late. I think he was on the brakes already, then jinked out to the left, and because it was damp in a few places, I think that was enough to just unsettle the rear as he was turning, and that was what spun him round. So I'm just going to play it on. Yeah, so where's the out? There's a good outside replay that they showed. I'm not sure where it was because the car left the ground. I don't know whether you picked this up when you watched it back.
Yes, I did pick that up. Yeah, that was basically
Because
they showed the replay.
I'm going to see if the replay's in these highlights. Yeah, there it is. 6 minutes and 15 from that angle. You might have to play it back in slow motion. But the problem you've got here is turn 1 sort of banks in a little bit as it goes downhill. And then where the white line is, it sort of drops away at the other side. So as he comes across the track, he sort of leaves and goes, it's almost like a little ramp, and he hits the sort of top 2/3 of the tyre barrier. I think that's what made the crash feel a little bit worse after hitting the concrete wall.
Thank goodness there was still tyre barrier there.
Yeah, I think there's a reason there's a tyre barrier on that side. And this all made Norris's finish ahead of Antonelli a little easier because obviously there was yellow flags everywhere. And this is one of those instances where there was no need to chuck a safety car out. Because I think at this... Yeah, and I think because Bortoletto was towards the sort of tail end of the field, the entire field had gone past him already. So the double yellows to finish the race under is fine, I think. There was nobody racing past at full racing speed at that point, so... Yeah, that was the sprint. Pretty eventful, but also uneventful at the same time. It's kind of a weird one.
Talk about, but not a lot of.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to give my second shout out to the Sauber mechanics here because on the sprint weekends you have sprint on the Saturday morning local time, unless we're running an evening race, and then qualifying, I think it's 2 or 3 hours later, something like that, after you finish. And the Sauber mechanics had to build a car up from a bare shell for Bortoletto. That car was a complete write-off, and they do take a spare, but it's not built up. So I think it's just the crash structure with some basic bits on it and nothing else. They had that car ready to go enough that Bortoletto was sat in the car before the end of qualifying, and they just ran out. I think if they had 5 more minutes, he'd have been out on track. which I think is, I think that's an insane amount of work, especially after they just fixed Hulkenberg's car in the pit lane to finish that sprint to then get on with Bortoletto's car. Because it's not like they could have... No, exactly. They didn't, because and this is the thing, they still have to prepare Hulkenberg's car for qualifying. And he was out qualifying.
They're doing all this with no points guaranteed. They could be doing all of this for P15.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not particularly strong, solid point
They-
contenders on a weekly basis.
No, and they weren't this weekend either, which I think is unfortunate.
That's Formula One, you know?
Yeah,
Everyone
exactly.
gives it everything.
Yeah. And it was a stellar effort from them to get... Because if this had happened lap 2, for example, you've got 20-something laps of extra time. And I think if it had happened on lap 2, they probably would have made qualifying. So, yeah. Big shout out to them. So, let's move on to the race. I think it's worth noting, as before we start this, there was a bit of an outlier from qualifying as well, in the shape of Max Verstappen, in the fact that he qualified P16. It's the first time he's been out in Q1 since Sochi 2021, I think it was. Something like that. Or Sochi, we didn't have Sochi then, I think it was 2019. A long time ago. And then they basically gave him a new power unit and started him from the pit lane instead. Which I think makes sense.
What happened to Max? Did he just fumble, or like? Because I missed quali.
So he was complaining throughout the sprint of having no grip and struggling with the car, and we've seen this throughout this year where either the car will be fantastic and he'll be completely on it, or he'll just be complaining the entire time and they've not quite got the car set up. So I wonder if there's something in the car itself that Red Bull can't get their head around, which is odd considering it's just an evolution on last year's car. So I'm not sure, but he really struggled with the car, and obviously Tsunoda qualified lower than him, so it must be something within the car itself. I think Sky had Lauren Mekis on the pit wall, and he said he was talking about risk, so they might have gone kind of wild on the setup or something like that to try and help him with the struggles he was having the day before. So
Then it seems like we're jumping into the race now. It seems like the gremlin went away.
I think so. A lot of people said, "What a drive from Verstappen," and greatest of all time, and all this stuff. I think this is on par with what Hamilton did in 2021, where he had his double penalties. He had a brand new power unit in the same way Verstappen did, and I think what this has afforded them is the fact that there's only 3 races. At best, this was probably one of their spares that they could just turn the engine mode all the way up, because it didn't matter.
It's a good track for overtaking as well.
Which helps.
Lots to do for it.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that power unit, new power unit, and the fact this is a good track for overtaking. I think if he'd had an existing power unit, then he might have struggled a little bit more. But also, he said the power unit they put in had less vibrations, I think is the word he used, so it might have been a power unit issue.
Okay,
Am I boring you that much?
Excuse me.
Okay, let's get on with the race. So we'll move on to the race highlights video from the Formula One channel. Again, this was a good getaway from Norris. Nothing really much to say there. Same with Antonelli. Piastri had a little bit of a fight there with one of the Racing Bulls. And yeah, race starts recently have been pretty good between everybody. Everyone's kind of behaved themselves. We haven't had a big pile up at the beginning or something like that.
I feel
So
like there was a bit of a period where it would happen almost every race, and I feel like since then the pre-race briefing has always been,
yeah, just calm down a little bit. Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah, that's Stroll running really wide there. We're about 48 seconds in. Yeah, and I'm just letting this roll through because there's not really much happening. It's just the usual last lap. That's your name. for first lap, sort of jostling for position, everybody working themselves out, that sort of thing, until Bortoletto binned it again.
Oh, Being Sarcastic is here. Hello, Being Sarcastic. Being Sarcastic says they went vroom vroom. I don't watch F1.
Yeah.
That was a good summary of the weekend.
Yeah, Formula One cars do go vroom vroom. Oh, this was where they used that really odd piece of track. Yeah, I don't think this was Bortoletto's fault.
No.
So let me just go back. So the timestamp here is, this is 1:15. Yeah, I think that was Stroll, and he kind of just squeezed Bortoletto towards the grass. Equally, Bortoletto could have just put the brakes on here. He wasn't.
It's a bit of a lap one moment, I'd say.
I put it down as a racing incident because, yeah, like you say, it's lap one, but I don't think Bortoletto was enough alongside Stroll there to be given room. But also, Bortoletto could have just pressed the brakes and lifted. There was no way he was ever getting through there anyway. So, yeah, it is what it is. They threw the safety car out for this because Bortoletto ended up in the middle of the track. Right, so Hamilton had a little bit of an incident at the end of the lap that Bortoletto crashed on. So if we roll on from 1:31, it goes straight into this. I put this solely on Hamilton from what I remember, and the stewards did as well. Because I think he's following Gasly, and it looks to me like Gasly holds a pretty solid line. So let's go back. So we've got the onboard here. So Hamilton looks to the outside first, and then Gasly moves across to the normal racing line. Hamilton looks like he hesitates when he goes for the inside. So I play it on, go for 1:40. You watch Hamilton sort of jink halfway to the left, and so his nose is following the left rear tyre of Gasly, and then moves again, and that's when he hits the wing. So it feels to me like he hesitated. How do you see it?
Don't really have anything to add, to be honest.
Yeah. I also...
I feel like it was one of those ones for me where I didn't really want to go into how it happened. It was more the outcome for me. Like,
Yeah.
Hamilton again. Like,
He's had a really bad run of luck recently, but I think...
That's what I mean. I was just like, I don't care whose fault that was. I don't care how it happened.
Yeah.
Damn, that sucks. I hope he's like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it was Hamilton's fault. Gasly looks like he runs a pretty solid line. It looks like he leaves room for Hamilton. Hamilton just sort of misjudged the closing speed, or he hesitated, or I don't know. But
I seem to remember while I was watching, I kind of just thought he was probably just really making transitions.
yeah, and I think he sort of overdid it. Right, so let's go to... We're looking at 2 minutes for the restart. And this caused some more controversy. I don't know whether you've seen this, because you said you didn't see the race live.
No, I saw the race live.
Okay.
It was Holly I missed.
Right, okay. What do you make of... So, we're going to play on from 2 minutes. What do you make of this incident with Piastri?
Yes.
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 Yes. Well.
This has divided a lot of people.
In my opinion, is a bit responsible as well.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of a conversation about this in your Discord, and even the people that I normally agree with disagreed with me. I put most of the fault here with Piastri. I think 5 seconds would have been a little bit more suitable because he wasn't fully at fault. But I think 10 seconds is the precedent for causing a collision, so that's why. My opinion here is if Piastri hadn't locked up, he would have been fine. If he'd gone in if the result had been the same, and he just gone in exactly the same but hadn't locked up, I think he would have been fine. I think that they'll have Antonelli's on board here. Let me find out where it is. It looks to me like, and let's just acknowledge Leclerc here, who's just the innocent bystander. So Ferrari have had an awful weekend with 2 DNFs because Hamilton ultimately retired. But I think, have they actually got the replay in here? Yeah, there we go. It's further down. So it starts at 2 minutes 40-ish. So if we start at 2 minutes 40, you can see the overhead. So they are 3 wide. Piastri is more than enough alongside until they hit the braking zone. And this is where you get into the nuance of the rules. At the point, I've paused at 2 minutes 42. Piastri's only about halfway up the side of Antonelli's car at this point. Then he locks up. So I think he braked a little bit late and then locked up because he took in too much speed. And that's ultimately what the stewards saw, was Piastri was out of control. And then if I skip it on a little bit more, you can see Antonelli turns in. And this is why I don't fully put the blame solely on Piastri, because Antonelli did turn in. If you pause it at certain points, he's actually on the same line as Norris, who takes the apex on the curb, as is to be expected. And I think that's why I don't put all of the blame on Piastri. But and that's why I think Piastri... This is why I think Piastri would have been fine if he hadn't locked up.
Yeah, I think honestly that point about the locking up, valid. I support that.
Yeah. And
I do agree. I think some of the blame should be on Antonelli. I think it was a bit harsh for sure on Piastri for the 10 seconds, but I understand why now that you've said about the me again. Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Also want to just say hello to one of the number 1 lappers. We've got Ram Pampama in the chat, who has also just subscribed. Hi Ram Pampama, welcome.
They've been here 11 months, and this will be the first time you've seen a podcast on here, but not the last time.
Not the last time.
Exactly. So yeah, they've got Leclerc's on board here, and he just gives. That's so fast. So if you go from 2 minutes 47 and just play it at full speed, he gives loads of room to the inside because he knows Antonelli's there, and then just out of nowhere, bam, Mercedes wheel takes him out. That wheel comes in from nowhere.
I remember thinking when I saw that, I was so stressed out if I was him. Like, can you imagine you're just living your life in a black?
That's it, you're out there. You don't even get a chance to think about it. He's just in and out, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you...
I would actually not be able to handle being an F1 driver. Like, that would actually just cause me to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
That would be it for me. I would never be seen again. Like, I would not even want to get like in the medical car or whatever they send to come and rescue me from wherever I get put in the track. Like,
Yeah.
I would just be like, no, like that would disorient me.
This is one of those things, though. It happens so quickly. It's like I don't think he'll have seen it coming, and then all of a sudden he's got no front tire, just that quick.
Yeah.
But if you watch Piastri's on board, which is at 2 minutes 54, sorry, you see him going down, and I think this is one of the things that makes me put most of the blame on Piastri, right? So his excuse was Antonelli turned in on him. And if you put it in at 2 minutes, 58 or so, Piastri starts locking up before Antonelli turns in on him. And then Antonelli turns in on him anyway. So this is why I put most of the blame on Piastri.
And in on something, he is also just taking performance.
Yeah, he's taking the racing line, but because...
That way at some point, yeah.
But also, Piastri could have just put the car on the curb a little bit more. But because he wasn't in control of the car, he was locking up, he had a lot less steering control, so he couldn't put the car where he wanted him to. Charles has taken Rubinho's Interlagos curse. He's just moved the curse from Monaco. I'm assuming a footballer, I think. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Rampton Tamaku is bad.
I think you confused both of them.
Proved it with Monaco.
Yeah,
Carl has
but-
better.
But this is one of the other things that when you watch this on board, because Piastri's locked up, he can't just turn to the left and climb over the curves and avoid the collision. Because he's locked up. Oh, Barrichello.
I'm a genius. I'm a real genius. You know?
So,
Sometimes I wake up and I think, damn, I should have gone to Harvard.
okay, so let's move along. Sonoda spins out Stroll. And oh yeah, Verstappen even got a puncture early on. And
Yeah.
yeah, everyone's like, oh yeah, pit lane to the podium and all the rest of it, but he was helped out by a safety car. He picked up that puncture during the safety car, or the VSC. So he pitted under safety car, so he didn't lose as much time, and then he could catch back up under safety car. So if you skip to, where are we, the restart, here, and then where's it put the times in? So 3 minutes 33 on the replay. Verstappen is 0.5 of a second off of the back of Stroll at the back of the pack after pitting. He's the only person at this point who's pitted. So I think the whole early pit stop thing is negligible. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, another safety car restart. Norris handled it perfectly well again, although I don't think he had to worry because Piastri was expected to get a penalty, I think, at this point. I don't know whether they'd given it to him or not. We've got... Yeah, Antonelli had a good weekend. Two seconds in the sprint and in the race, and I think that was his best result in the actual race as well. Yeah, I'm just playing through because all this is replays of DRS overtakes, as usual. And look, there's a DRS overtake.
Saying this has been a stunning banger of a race. This has been wonderful. He kept repeating it.
I don't know where they were getting that
It
from.
was entertaining from start to finish. But as far as
The-
Brazilian races go,
As far as the racing,
it was a very weak one for the track. Like,
as far as the racing itself goes, this was awful.
yeah.
And this,
We
the,
did have some real all-timer classics of a race in Brazil, and this year we just didn't. I was so sad. I spent the whole week
Well-
hyping it up to my mum. I was like, look, Interlagos, best track ever. Literally the best.
well, this is what I said. This is what I said this year when I got up at 6 a.m. for Suzuka. Japan is always a fantastic race, and what we got was the most boring race I've ever watched. Because if there's overtakes in modern Formula One, it's all DRS assisted. A weak race at Interlagos is still better than a banger elsewhere. Yeah, I mean, if we go back.
Banger the banger is.
The thing is, if we go back to the sprint, the only reason we spent so much time talking about the sprint is because there was crashes and the fact that Piastri fell off the track. We'll have a conversation about Piastri and Suzuka was dross. It's like I can't even recall anything about that race other than Verstappen had a white car and he won.
I don't remember a single thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's how memorable that race was.
I could not tell you a thing about what happened.
I'm still playing the replay, the highlights in the background. I'm up to lap 49 and I've only seen DRS overtakes so far.
Am I correct in understanding this is the last season of DRS?
I think so, or they're making a change, or they're making a change to DRS. Can't remember. I can't wait to see the back of it. DRS change is something that we've talked about on this podcast before, and they are such a problem. The DRS in concept works when it's one car versus one car, but when it's a train, it doesn't work.
I'm gonna get tilted, so just let me crash out for a second, guys. Sorry, I don't think I've ever sounded more like Gen Z than that. Tilted, let me crash out. But I'm gonna do it. Right. DRS train, Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson, half
You, yeah. I think one of the other reasons that people talk about this being a stellar race, and it's the same, and this is the same thing that we had with Lewis Hamilton in 2021. I'm going to bring this up again. The only reason he made so many overtakes is because he had a faster car than everybody else, because it was set up for overtaking, it was set up for racing. He had a new engine and they could turn it up. And this is exactly the same as what we saw with Verstappen. It was exciting seeing him on faster tyres with a faster car chasing through. But nothing else happened. And then we had another same as the end of Mexico, where we had two cars chasing each other for two different positions towards the end of the race, and nobody passed anybody. I'm going to shout out the team. Yeah, five more laps. Oh, you've got a butt if you want to block them. Okay, as long as somebody deals with that.
Are you able to deal with the spammer in the chat?
So I'm going to shout out the TV directors again. So there was a discussion on Reddit where people were complaining about TV direction again. I think this was great because they did the same thing. I've paused this at 6 minutes 55. They did the same thing they did at Mexico, of the picture-in-picture with on the timing tree with Norris crossing the finish line. So I think that was great. Again, so yeah, I want to shout out the TV directors. And then as Norris crossed the line, I think they did the same thing they did in Mexico. Yep, then you cut to Antonelli's on board till Antonelli crosses the line, and then you cut to Piastri's on board, and that works perfectly. That is the best way of doing that.
And then it was the DRS train as well.
Yeah, and then obviously you DRS train. Let me just see if I can. There's the timing tree here. Yeah, so you've got the gaps here are amount of time you are behind the leader. Lawson is at 51.224. Then you've got Hadjar 51.721, Hulkenberg 52.115, Gasly 52.473, Albon 52.774, Ocon 53, Sainz 54, Alonso 55, Colapinto 56, Stroll 57. It's just one big long DRS train. So yeah, that's basically it from the race. There's more to talk about here than just the race, because we've had championship implications. So I'm going to talk about teams first. Before this race, obviously, McLaren's already signed up the championship. Then it was Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, I think was the order. We are now looking at Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. So Mercedes and Red Bull have jumped up one place each, and Ferrari have dropped... No, Red Bull have... Yeah, Mercedes, Red Bull have gone up one place, and Ferrari have dropped 2 places. This has been a bad weekend for Ferrari, because Mercedes with their P3 and P4 have scored a good chunk of points. So this is going to have implications towards the end of the season. But the main one to talk about here is the Drivers' Championship. So we've now got Lando Norris out front by 24 points, and Verstappen is behind him by 49 points, I think it was. We should do the math.
That's almost a whole win's worth.
Yeah, so Norris is on 390. Verstappen is at 341. So he's 49 points behind. There are I did the maths.
And we've got a stat in the chat from Ram. Lando is 24 points ahead with 3 Grand Prix and a sprint left. 3 Grand Prix and a sprint ago, Oscar was 25 clear.
Yeah. There was a point.
Imagine if it swings the other way. Oh.
So there's 83 points left to get. If this weekend Lando outscores Verstappen, I think I'm right on the math on this. If Lando outscores Verstappen by any amount of points, Verstappen is out of the running for the World Drivers' Championship. because if
support that. I
Yeah.
support that. I'm sorry. I want
Norris-
to be a new champion. This is nothing
Ba-
against Max.
basically Norris needs to leave Las Vegas with a gap to Verstappen of 50 or more points, then Verstappen is out.
We wrapped this up before the last race this year.
Potentially, because if he outscores Piastri in Vegas, there's then only 50 points left. Coming into Qatar, I think it is, he'll be more than 25 points clear before we even start. So we've gone from Lando being 35 points behind Piastri after Zandvoort to being potentially sewing this up with a race to go.
I mean, people were saying championship over for Lando at one point.
Well, this is the other thing, so you've got to think about this as well. Norris could pull more than 25 points clear of Piastri next weekend. Yeah, it's in a week or so. That would then put him 25 points clear. If Lando then wins and Piastri has a DNF, Lando sews it up 2 races to go. So it's not over yet, but potentially
Not over yet for Piastri either.
No, of course. But you've got to say, with the way that Piastri's been driving over this last 6 or so races, has not been the driver of a champion, not by a long shot.
It's almost like something's happened. Like, I feel like something's up with the car or something. Like,
Well, this is where the comparison.
conspiracy theory. There is no sabotage happening. McLaren would be stupid to do that, especially with the looming threat of Max. Something needs fixing. They clearly can't find out what they're doing, and they are clearly trying. I really feel for Piastri. I don't know.
I think it's Piastri himself. So Piastri has come out and said that he's not changed anything, and I agree, other than the fact that he keeps binning it. Like, he crashed in Baku, he's crashed in Brazil, and he crashed in Austin. This is too many.
Recently, I'm sure I saw online that he said something about how he was rattled about the team orders thing that happened.
Potentially.
And apparently, since then, he's been a bit rocky.
The problem is he had that.
We were talking about.
He doesn't get rocked. He's been solid all season.
All career. He's
Yeah.
got this track record of ice cold, nerves of steel, machine.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
It's just.
And
It's.
that's what makes me think it's a car issue because we don't tend to see this.
But this is something else you see at this level of motorsport is it's a mental game. You're fighting with yourself. And it seems like Norris got it together, had a good run, at the same time Oscar had and you can have one mistake and that's it, it's fine, and you bounce back and just carry on as you were. But I think Norris's run of good form started at the same time Oscar's run of bad form started, meaning that you've got, I think that's rattled Oscar more than he thinks it has.
I would love to be a small cycle like
I think that that's my impression from the outside. Obviously, I don't know either of the two drivers,
Yeah.
but that's what it looks like. That
Yeah.
Oscar's,
Speculate until they say anything.
and I don't think we'll ever know. But it feels like Oscar's having a bad run. Like Norris had one in the middle of the season. He had an engine failure, and that's how he ended up 34 points behind after his crash at Canada. And that was that same thing. He made a mistake. He then was on the back foot for a little while. But it's come. Norris has.
Going back to Brazil again, last minute, where we saw Norris had a bit of a situation, let's say, in Brazil. He had a pretty rocky race, and I think most people would agree Brazil was where the championship was over for him last year. I don't actually remember what happened. I just remember him going very wide at turn 1 and losing like 6 positions or something.
Yeah, I don't recall. So I'm just trying to get the actual. Here we go. So I'm just trying to look up the results. So because Norris had a bad
Lando
run.
was on for the comeback, yeah.
Yeah, so Lando had Yeah, he crashed out in Canada, and then he bounced back to have 2 back-to-back wins, a P2, then another win, and then his DNF. So he's been 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 1, 2, his crash, 1, 1, 2, 1, his engine failure, 2, and then Azerbaijan was 7, and then 3, 2, 1, 1. So Norris has basically had either a crash or a engine failure, a P7, and every other result has been the top 3.
Consistency is key.
Consistent, yeah, real consistent. Piastri had his P9 in Australia, and then he was on the podium back to back until Canada, which I think some of it was influenced by Norris's bump with him, if I remember correctly. I don't think they were on for that win anyway, because Russell won that race. Continued on the podium until he retired in... Yeah, see, that's the thing. So you look at Piastri's results, and the same thing. He's, other than the P9 and the P4, he's been consistently on the podium all season until Azerbaijan. Then he retired, and then P4, P5, P5, P5. He's gone pretty steady, taken a step down to P4, and then stayed there. He hasn't bounced back. Norris bounced back immediately after Canada.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's what I was saying about last season. I think Norris had his chance to get used to being in a title fight, because it was a bit realistic, but it was also a bit of a long shot. He had that chance, and I think we maybe saw him psych himself out of it.
He was driving like a
But
champion
he got used
towards
to
the end of
that
the year.
feeling, and he's got used to not winning the championship, and that the world keeps turning.
Yeah, and
Piastri's not had that yet. He's not had a taste of the championship fight. And what's so compelling about this season is two absolutely world-class drivers in Norris and Piastri. They're both absolutely phenomenal talents. Both of them deserve to be world champion. Neither of them have done it before. You've got Lando, who's stuck loyally with the team his whole F1 career. You've got Piastri, who's had success after success and came straight into McLaren. The two of them both stayed with McLaren their whole F1 careers.
yeah.
And now it's like, who gets it? They're both. So I wish I could in half, like Mean Girls style, like
So-
break it into pieces, give a little bit to each of them.
I'm looking forward to having a new champion, more than anything. But Ram Tamtama has just pointed out, well, I say pointed out, he said, they said, I don't know, actually, I'm not going to assume, Lando had his bad spell at the right time. Now, I'm looking at the results, and everyone thinks Lando had a bad spell. He didn't. He hasn't had a bad spell. So looking at the results, like I say, he was on the podium pretty much every race. He had Saudi Arabia, where he was P4. He had Canada, where he had his crash. But either side of Canada was a second place and a win. He bounced back from Canada to win Austria, then win the British Grand Prix. So he bounced back from that was his own mistake in Canada, pointless, to a back-to-back win, a P2, then another win. The only other time he's finished outside of the top 10 this season is his engine failure. He's had 2 non-top 10 finishes, engine failure and the crash. The only other time he's been outside of the podium, like I said, was Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan, where he finished P7. Every single other race, he has been on the podium. The difference here is Piastri was P9 in Australia, P4 in Canada, retired in Azerbaijan, and then he's had on the bounce a P4, a P5, P5 and P5. He's had 5...
People thought it was a bad spell for Lando because Piastri started out a bit rocky and everyone was like, this is Lando's to lose, and then Piastri contended.
I think it helped that Piastri is sat at the top of the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
Pretty
Here's an
much.
interesting one. Ram Tamtama says that says something about Lando's bad spell. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the talk, because Piastri passed Norris, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Norris is on a bad spell, all the rest of it, he's lost it. And it's like, you look at the results and he hasn't. So the difference is Piastri went on a spell of a triple wins. So they swapped places. Piastri won China. Obviously, Verstappen won Japan, but Norris finished ahead of Piastri again. Then Piastri went on to a spell of 3 wins. Norris's results were P3, P4, and P2, and I think this is where people think that Norris went on a bad run. But he was on the podium, he won Monaco, he was still on the podium in Spain, and then he had a crash in Canada, and I think that's where people thought Norris had lost it. But it was a P2 in Spain, a crash in Canada, and then 2 wins.
There it is.
Yeah, you look at the results, and it is not a bad run at all. I'm kind of tempted to look up his average finishing position. Although I think there's that, what's the page called? F1 Visualized. That's it. They do a heat map.
I love that.
Yeah, if you don't follow them on socials, do so. They're great. They do some great visualizations for the races and stats and all that sort of thing. If I can find the page that isn't a fake. Is that what the page is called?
You need to go at 9, just as a...
Yeah, we'll be okay. I'm just trying to find this page now. If somebody knows, tell me.
They do that because, like, position card or something.
Yeah, they do a heat map and it gives you average finishing position and stuff like that. F1, there it is. F1 Visualized with a Z and all one word. That's why I can't find them. Because I'm looking for them with an S because we're British. But I don't think they've done a heat map. So I might look this up for next.
You can show it next time.
Yeah, unless if I can copy and paste this out of Wikipedia and paste it into a quick spreadsheet, I can do it that way. This might work.
Well, they've got one from last year too.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I'm looking for. Yeah, that was the sort of thing I was looking for. I really like that because it tells a story about the season as it's gone on. Yeah, there we go. I don't know whether this will work. 11? Why is that going to say? Oh, no, it's not copied the formatting properly. I'll do it my own time and work out because I think Norris's average position is going to be higher based on what I'm looking at there. But I'll do some math and I'll have it ready for next time, including the most recent results. So I think it's going to get interesting in these last 2 races. Norris is in a position now where he just has to outscore Piastri. I don't think it matters what Verstappen does anymore. Norris just has to outscore Piastri. The only difference is if anybody gets a DNF, I think they're automatically out of the title running. The only exception there is Norris. I think Norris could still win with a DNF because he's 24 points clear of Piastri and nearly 49 points clear of Verstappen. So I think Norris is in prime position here. If Norris finishes and scores points in all 3 of the remaining races, I think he's got it sewn up. Unless it's 10th place every time. Fun fact. Kimi is the 781st oldest driver to start a Grand Prix.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I love random stats like that. So, yeah, I think that's all we've got. Yeah, I think that's all we've got to talk about this week. The title fight is really heating up now, so it's going to be an interesting final three races. I don't think the racing is going to be all that exciting. It's the drivers' championship that's keeping me interested at the moment. I've got it. I'm hoping next year's cars are better.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Next year's cars.
I've seen they've teased a livery of sorts. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of their Le Mans car. That was what sprung to mind immediately. So, yeah, I think them adding to the coming to the grid along with Cadillac, I think is going to make things interesting. We've got to wait till 2027 before Cadillac join the grid. But I think next year the racing can't be worse than this year. It's so
Up to next year.
yeah. This is going to be a great edit for the end of next year.
French Grand Prix 2020 all over again.
Don't. No. Okay, let's stop there before we go down a rabbit hole. Right. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Yeah, it stopped. Yes. I'm going to give you a quick lesson.
Okay.
Can you share your screen to me? I want to show you how to not start randomly sharing random screens on your computer.
Oh, I know how. I just haven't set it up ahead of time.
Well, it's easy. I do it with a Discord call when I'm recording. Speaking of which, I can stop recording.